This is Christy with Parables, and today I'm going to show you how to make homemade bread. It's pretty simple, about 5 ingredients. We're going to start with water, which is the hardest part actually, and I'm not laughing about that. Okay, and then we've got some sugar and some salt here. We've got some vegetable oil and some bread flour. You can use all-purpose if you want, and then we have the magic yeast that is going to make it do its thing. So remember I said the hardest part is the water because you've got to get the temperature right. And I'm going to be making about 4 loaves of bread here. Actually, I might be making about 5. I had to double check my recipe so I can tell you the amount. I like to make more than just the basic because there's a lot of things you can do with this. With this dough, I'm going to make some pizza rolls, I'm going to make white bread, and I'm going to make some cinnamon bread for my husband. We were at the grocery store the other night and he said, honey, have you noticed that you can never buy cinnamon bread and raisin bread anymore, you know, with the frosting on top of it? So I'm going to surprise him tonight and make that for him. But right now I've got 5 cups of water here and I've got my instant read thermometer. This is really a must if you're going to do good bread. You don't want to have your water so hot that it kills your yeast. I keep my yeast in the fridge. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And so sometimes I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to go right at 110. I've already checked this before we came on camera, and that's right where it was. So if it's a little bit lower, it's fine with me. I do use an electric mixer, not a bread machine. They just don't give, I've tried them before, they don't give good results. So right now, I don't think I'm going to go above 110. You don't want to kill your yeast. Otherwise, you're going to have lots of bricks. Trust me, I've made lots of bricks. Now, I'm going to pour that in my mixer, and it also, the temperature will go down a little bit because as we add the other ingredients. So 5 cups of water here, and then we're going to add the sugar and the salt. Now, when I make whole wheat bread, which is really what I prefer to do, I also use honey, but I'm going to use sugar today. And it's just a half a cup of sugar, and so that's not a whole lot of sugar when you think about over like maybe 5 loaves of bread. And I have my little sugar container that I always keep on my countertop, so I feel like if I can measure out the sugar just from this, I'm doing pretty good. Now cookies, you know, they take like 2 cups of sugar. And you can use honey. I'm starting to tell you that. With whole wheat bread, I like to use honey because it's a lot healthier, and so I might as well make it as healthy as I can. All right, the other thing is when you have containers like I do that look identical for sugar and salt, make sure that on the salt I do label it right here. And I need a little bit of salt, and as I use things, I like to put them away. Now my recipe says to use a whole tablespoon for salt. I don't quite like that much salt, but you know, because I think we could still kind of cut down on salt. So I'm going to just kind of do a scant tablespoon. Who knows what a scant tablespoon means? It means not quite that much. So when I take this and I always check, make sure it's salt. Yes, it's salt. Here's my tablespoon measure. I'm just going to go just a little under. All right, so I've got my sugar, I've got my salt. I'll give a top view here for you in just a second. And then I'm going to put my vegetable oil in. You could also use canola oil if you want to do that. Some people use olive oil. I don't like that. I love olive oil, but I just don't prefer it in bread. It's got a little strong flavor to me. Although I love to dip garlic bread into, oh boy, into olive oil. Now, make sure that you're using a measuring cup that has a 1/3 cup measure, because you need to have a 1/3. Not all liquid measuring cups have a 1/3 cup marking, I should say, not a measure. So I'm going to get right to a 1/3 cup. Whoops, went over a little higher, so now I can pour it right back out. I'm just doing this behind the scenes. You don't see me do it. Whoops. I'm going to put it over here so you can see me do this. All right. Now, when you measure, I'll kind of show you a little trick. When you measure anything liquid, I know this is kind of like home ec 101, but a lot of people didn't ever get to take home ec. And that's what I was teaching. So I'm going to go ahead and put this, I want to have a flat top here. Now I'm going to put my measuring cup on there, and let's see if it looks like it's a 1/3 cup. It's like a sliver over, so we're gonna call it good. But you don't wanna have a 1/2 cup, and you definitely don't wanna have a 1/4 cup. You need to have enough oil here. Some people put butter in their bread. If I do that, if they're specialty breads, then that's a good thing. All right, so now I've got all of the basic ingredients. I'm gonna go over to my recipe and just make sure I've done it again. I like to do that. I'm a double checker. I always do that on my emails too. Okay, so again, we have 5 cups of warm water at about 110, that's Fahrenheit. A half a cup of sugar, or you can use honey. A tablespoon of salt. A 1/3 cup of, I had vegetable oil, you can use canola oil. And now we're going to put in the flour. We're not going to put the yeast in yet because I use instant yeast. It's the only kind of yeast to use. I buy it in bulk, and so I keep it in this large container right here. But you don't add it till the flour's been in there, okay? And I love having this on hand because I can just whip up bread so fast, as you're going to see here. And as I always tell you, when you're doing this at home, it goes a lot faster than talking to people. All right, so I've got bread flour. Bread flour has more protein in it than all-purpose flour, has a little more gluten in it, so I really like that. I'm gonna get a better scoop here. And I also have a 2-cup measure, which I love because then I only have to count half as much. I just have to remember that it's 2 cups and not 1 cup. So I need about 11 to 13 cups of flour. So let's count together. After a while you do this, you do it by feel, but I still want to get about that. Okay, so there's 2. Actually, I'm going to turn on my mixer for a minute just to mix up all my sugar. That hardly mixed it. Okay, there's 2 cups. 2 cups. 2 cups, 4 cups, 6 cups $1. Do you remember those cheering things from high school? Anyway, maybe I wasn't a cheerleader. I'm not that type, but I like to cheer for the team. Okay, so now we're going to go into 4 cups. And I'll do about 8 cups. That was 4. Help me count. This will be 6. And I kind of stir it up a little bit. 6 and 8. I'm gonna put 8 cups in, and then I'm gonna put the yeast in. So I still have about 4 cups more that I could probably put in. Okay, so here's 8 cups. And remember, I need 11 to 13 cups. It's kind of getting full on my mixing bowl. I have a couple different mixers. This one I'm using today has an auto knead Dutch it, so I really like that. And I'm just gonna come over here. I'm gonna turn it a little bit so you can just see that's kind of to the top. All right, now this is a little loud because it's a great mixer. It's a mixer that has, like I said, it has an auto knead cycle in it. So I love that. Okay, let me go to my mixing for bread. Whoops. It also has a little computer in here. So now it's just like barely wet. It's hardly mixed up. So I'm gonna add some more flour to it. So that was 8 cups, remember that? This will be our 10th. 10. I know I don't want you to get too bored watching this, but I just want you to see every behind the scenes here. All right, there's 10 cups. Let's see what we're gonna do. All right, so you can see it's starting to get mixed up, and I'm going to go ahead and put my 3 tablespoons of yeast in here. Now, if you're not buying it in bulk like I do, that would be like 3 of those little packets. So 1, 2, I don't think you can see that, it's a little too close up, but trust me, I'm putting 3 tablespoons of yeast. Now I'm gonna run this over to my fridge right away because when people buy it in bulk, I've had them call me and say, my bread doesn't, it's not rising. And I ask them, where are you storing your yeast? In the closet. Nope, it has to go in the fridge once it's open. Okay, now let's mix it up. it's really wet, and so I've done 10 cups, and I know I'm probably gonna have to do at least 12 because it said 11 to 13, so I'm gonna probably need for sure 12. Now, I still am not gonna dump this whole 2 cups in because that might be surprising to me. I'm actually gonna see, I don't know that we can get you higher up here, but I'm gonna try. Let's see if we can get that, and we'll see a little bit better here. I've got 12 cups, and I want you to see how sticky it is. It's really sticky. The whole thing is, you want this bowl to be a self-cleaning bowl. We want all the dough to come away from the sides. So now, I've done 12 cups. I don't want to put in 14. And again, it was 11 to 13, so I've done 12. I'm gonna just put about ½ cup, and I'm gonna just slowly add it. I know you kind of got a little snowstorm over there. That's why I was doing this. Normally, I'm gonna have this cover on, but I want to be able to show you here. So just kind of watch how I do this. Now it's going to be more by feel. Look at that on the side. See how it's coming up away from the sides? Now, I'm gonna touch it. It's still sticky, so I'm gonna add about ½ cup more, and then we're gonna put it on knead. Let me try this, here we go. You can tell it's kind of coming to the top of the bowl here. So some of this top hasn't been incorporated into the extra flour that I have. Now you can always add extra flour, but you can't take it out. So I'm gonna just do a little dusting here, and I'm gonna knead it. And I do have an auto knead here. It takes about 3 minutes. If you have whole wheat, it will take you longer, but I'm not gonna have you listen to this. I'm just gonna put this on, I'll get it started, and then I'll come back here in just a minute to show you. Here we go.